Welcome to ECI. With ECI, you have rights. These rights are called procedural safeguards and apply whether or not your child enrolls in ECI. Procedural safeguards are required by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, the federal law that authorizes the ECI program. Procedural safeguards describe the actions that all ECI programs must follow to safeguard or protect your rights. It's important for you to know and understand these rights. They're designed to protect your child and family during your time with ECI.
As an ECI parent, I know how important it is to understand my rights to make sure that my child and family are receiving the information and services we need. I remember feeling overwhelmed at my first visit. My service coordinator gave me a lot of information and explained my rights to me, but it was a lot to take in all at once. I'm glad that she also gave me the ECI Parent Handbook. It was good to know that it contained a lot of the information she had already explained to me, especially about our rights. It's an important resource that I can read through on my own time and refer back to as needed. It also helped me prepare questions that I may want to ask.
All families should become familiar with their ECI Parent Handbook. It explains your rights as you proceed through each step, from getting started in ECI, through your service delivery, and finally, preparing for what comes next for your child after ECI. Be sure to carefully read your handbook. It contains a lot of great information.
I agree. I make sure to keep my handbook where I can easily get to it. It helped me learn the meaning of many of the terms ECI uses, like IFSP, transition, consent, evaluation, and assessment. If you don't understand something in the handbook or something being said, ask. One of your rights in ECI is the right to understand your child's ECI services. Sometimes I felt funny about asking a question, but I was encouraged to do so, and I encourage you to do the same.
One of the most important rights you have begins with your very first contact and continues throughout your time with ECI. It is your right to give informed consent. ECI must get your permission in writing for most actions that affect your child and family. Informed consent means that you have all the information you need to decide whether or not you want to give your consent.
For example, my doctor wanted to get a copy of my daughter's ECI services to include in her medical records. ECI could not send that information to him without my written consent. I also remember when ECI thought my daughter might qualify for services through our local school district. They asked for my consent to send her information to the school. At first, I didn't understand why the school needed her IFSP because it contained a lot of personal information about my family. ECI explained that the school district would use the IFSP during their evaluation process. ECI also said that not giving my consent would mean I may have to repeat a lot of the same information during the school district's evaluation process. After hearing this explanation, I decided to give my consent to send part of her IFSP, but not all of it. Remember, you never have to sign anything you don't understand or agree with.
Remember too, parents always have access to their child's ECI records. They can request copies of information and can personally share that information with anyone they want. Let's review some of the times you will be asked to give consent. Consent for screening. Consent for evaluation and assessment. Consent for release of your ECI information to others. Consent to bill your insurance, CHIP, Medicaid. Consent to start services. Another important right is your right to prior written notice. This is your right to be told in writing in advance when ECI plans to evaluate or assess your child for eligibility, when ECI wants to meet with your family to plan or change your services, and when ECI does not agree to something that you have requested. Notice of a meeting must include all the important information you need to fully understand and prepare for the meeting. It should tell you what the meeting is about, its location, any records or reports that are going to be used, and who will be participating in the meeting. For more information, refer back to your parent handbook.
One example of when I received prior written notice was before my child's first evaluation. The prior written notice told me that ECI was going to evaluate all areas of my child's development and the name of the test they were going to use. It also listed the names of the people who were going to be part of the evaluation. I got this notice in advance so I could have time to invite others to come. I asked my mom to come because she spends a lot of time with my daughter.
ECI must give you prior written notice in a timely manner. For instance, if there's a change to a planned meeting, ECI must give you written notice of the change in enough time so you and other invited guests, such as a relative or friend, can be there. It also gives parents time to let ECI know if the new time doesn't work for them. You will also receive prior written notice anytime ECI does not agree to something that you have requested. For example, ECI will provide prior written notice when a family requests a service and ECI thinks it is not needed for the child to meet his or her IFSP outcomes. The prior written notice will explain why the service will not be provided and what the family can do if they don't agree.
That happened to me. I thought my child needed to see a speech therapist, but the other members of the team didn't agree. I received prior written notice that the service was not recommended. They felt that speech therapy was not needed for her to make progress. ECI explained that early intervention specialist would show me things I could do with my daughter every day to help her speech. ECI reminded me that I am my child's best teacher. The prior written notice I received helped me understand why the service wasn't recommended and let me know what I could do if I still didn't agree. I decided to wait a few months to watch how her speech developed before I took the next step.
However, if you had not wanted to wait because you really believed your child needed speech therapy right then, you do have a right as a parent to have your disagreement resolved. There are several processes available to you for resolving disagreements with ECI. You may contact your ECI program's director to try to resolve your concern. Or you can file a complaint with ECI state office, request mediation, or ask for a due process hearing. If you want to learn more about each of these options, they are explained in your parent handbook in the section titled Resolving Disagreements. This section of the handbook also explains other times when you may have disagreements with your ECI program or an ECI service provider and how you might resolve them. If you have misplaced your handbook, it is available online at the ECI website, or you can ask your program for another copy. Prior written notice covers a lot. Let's review some of the reasons you may receive prior written notice. ECI wants to change or reschedule a meeting. ECI wants to change one or all of your child's services. ECI is responding to a request you have made. ECI determines your child is no longer eligible for ECI services. Also, prior written notice must contain information that explains and supports the decision or recommendation, be given in a timely manner to allow parent preparation, contain adequate information about what is to be discussed, explain what a parent should do if he or she disagrees with ECI's decision or recommendation.
Another right that I personally feel is very important is my right to confidentiality. I like knowing that ECI cannot give out information about my child and family without my consent.
Your right to confidentiality is protected by federal law, IDEA, and the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA. It isn't just your child's ECI records and information that ECI receives from you that remains confidential. FERPA requires that any information received from other healthcare and service providers remain confidential as well. And your personal records remain confidential, even after you leave ECI. There are some times when ECI may need to share information without your consent. These times are explained in your parent handbook.
All of these rights that we have talked about are so important for ECI families. The right to understand what is being said and written. The right to choose to either consent or not consent to services. The right to disagree. The right to receive written notice about important meetings or actions. And the right for personal information to be kept confidential. So keep your handbook in easy reach and never be afraid to ask questions if you don't understand.
Remember, you are the most important person in your child's life.
And your child's best advocate.
As you transition out of ECI, you will have many of these same rights if your child receives special education services in the future. Early is best, not only for providing intervention for your child, but also for learning about and exercising your rights as a parent.